Tears, breakthroughs, and lies. Oh my, we are talking all of that and more on tonight's after show for 7-Year Switch. Don't go anywhere.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Oh God, this show has me feeling some type of way, Ashley.
Everyone does sometimes.
Everybody does. Sometimes cry, sometimes hurt. Hello, AfterBuzzers. Hello, fans of 7-Year Switch. I'm your host, Caroline, and thank you for joining us for tonight's episode where we're recapping Vowing to be Vulnerable, the newest addition to the episodes of 7-Year Switch. Like I said, I'm your host, Caroline, and who do I have to the left of me?
Hello, I'm Ashley Lauren, and I'm so excited to be here today. I think we have a little bit of a smaller than normal panel.
But
maybe.
We're going to be loved. We're going to kill it. We're going to have so much fun.
Yeah.
We are talking, basically, we're going to obviously give our initial reactions to the episode, but we are going to be talking about where we picked up from last week, which was the couples are seeing footage of their spouses, with their experimental spouses. And then we're also going to be talking about the road trips they take, the vulnerability tests that they are given, which, oh my God, that's when the tears started flowing for me. And then we actually have a special segment where we're going to be playing Would You Rather, the best game ever. And then you have some news and gossip for us, which I'm super excited for. So let's get into it. Ashley, what were your initial reactions of this episode?
So, I was excited to see what was going to happen with Charles. Because they left it with those two. I feel like every episode we leave it being like, are they about to maybe go like...
Oh, Charles and Angela, are they about to cross the line?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm always like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? But nothing like that happened this time. But overall, it was just a good, this episode, I feel like it wasn't maybe as exciting as some of the previous ones.
Well, I think it was more about like the personal
level.
growth of each individual and less about the conflict with their spouse, which you don't realize actually contributes to a person's marriage. Like even if one person is having a conflict with maybe another family member, which we'll discuss later. But I thought that this was definitely one of the more raw, emotional episodes. So we totally saw a lot more feelings from even Reese, who's normally pretty closeted or like really composed, which, that was refreshing. But I just need to say something, and I'd really love it if, tweet me if you think that this is accurate. Now, in the beginning of the episode, we see Charles, and he is looking strikingly familiar to Snoop Dogg, circa the beginning of time, so the beginning of Snoop's era, essentially. And Charles is shown in his wedding clip. It is a wedding clip too. Okay, hold on. Snoop Dogg looks like Charles. Charles looks like Snoop Dogg. Charles is at his wedding. Snoop Dogg is just getting his career started. The two both have like the short hair look. Look at that's Charles, okay? And then can we go to Snoop? Yes.
Yeah,
can you see the similarities? I think I can.
I think he was definitely he was summoning his inner Snoop.
Yeah, I'm
Only
not really
didn't know that was gonna be a short ride.
Yeah, because that hair is no longer there. Sorry about that, Charles. That was just one observation that I made that really needed to be called to attention. Another thing that I noticed, and I want your opinion on this. Do you think it's weird at all that the couples have the option to not like partake in the activities, or they, for example, and we'll get into this when we talk about the footage recap, but Dr. Jessica was saying like, oh, you don't have to watch the footage, Angela, if you don't want to.
I think it's more so, again, it's kind of going back into my experience with reality TV. They can't make you do anything.
True.
But it's definitely, when something is encouraged, it pretty much means like, hey, do this.
Yeah.
I can't make you do this.
But I'm going to highly suggest. Yeah.
So you can be like, no, but
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, we did see Angela end up watching the footage of Tony and Kenya. And so let's get into this. The first topic we have tonight is the footage reactions. And what I was really looking at was how Kenya going from that hoe over there was going to react to being called a bitch by Angela.
Yeah.
And you can see that she's super hurt.
She was upset,
which is warranted, I think.
And I think it was also what she said was she was very concerned with the fact that Charles didn't like defend her honor.
But that is my question. My question I'll pose to you is, did she not see when Charles said, hey, don't call her that, to Angela? So I was a little bit confused. Maybe she wasn't shown all the footage, or maybe she just didn't think that was enough. But I was kind of taken aback by how, like, angry she was. I thought it was really telling that Tony was super uncomfortable seeing his wife even, like, next to another man, which, again, that's a better sign for me in terms of where that relationship is going versus Kenya and Charles. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that their responses, so Tony's response, I think, says a lot. That he definitely is committed to his wife, and I think he really wants it to work. But Charles does kind of seem like he's like, whatever. I feel like Charles is checked out. Charles has been checked out for a while, and technically, I mean, he kind of has, right? They've been separated a long time. They're just kind of still the paperwork.
So the only time that we actually see Charles kind of chirping back up is when Angela is like, and she does this amazing eye roll and says, infidelity? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was not privy to this information. And he's like, yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, the thing is, having a dual perspective,
Okay.
I see why, I obviously see why she would be upset that he didn't tell her. But from his perspective, he says, well, if I would have told you this right away, then you wouldn't have, that would have been a giant wall up. You may not have got to know the real me. So I feel there is some, there's some truth to that, and I see that, but
yeah, but like also
it's a crappy situation.
The whole point of this exercise, I'm calling it an exercise, is exactly just be completely honest. I think that more than anything is the one quality all of these people want in their partners, just being honest, open, vulnerable, like the title of this episode.
Vowing to be vulnerable.
Leading to somebody we have not seen be vulnerable, and oh my Lanta, did he get heated, was Reese. Okay, again, I think it is a great telling sign that he loves his wife Diane very much, that he got so uncomfortable when Bobby insinuated that his love between him and Diane was not true love. And he's like, you don't know us. Who do you think you are calling us out? And we have not seen Reese express that much emotion ever.
But also that could be a lot of insecurity as well, because kind of a lot of times in a relationship there'll be one who is avoidant, and then maybe one who is more of the attacher, the more clingy. And it seems like maybe in their relationship, since Reese is obviously the caregiver, that he may be the one that is a little more attached and more threatened by the separating of the two, because it has seemed as though Diane is like, she good on her own.
Diane seems like she's a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. But
she wants
Reese.
Yeah.
So I think it was
Don't
really
blame her.
sweet. So when Rosalind and Reese were watching Diane and Bobby, you see Rosalind is super, super stressed by the fact Diane brings up Rosalind leaving Bobby. So I think at one point Rosalind actually says, oh, she said it, not Bobby. So she's questioning, is that a thought that Diane put into Bobby's head? Is it something that Bobby brought up? And we know that Bobby brought it up. And he's being vulnerable with Diane, but not with Rosalind. And then I just thought, I mean, I'm sorry, Reese is my favorite. Like, him and Diane, just goals. But when Reese saw Diane's face on the screen, he lit up. But then it was so quick to do a 360 and he was just not very happy with Bobby. But how would you react if you were Reese? Do you think that you would have the same unsettling feelings?
I think so. I mean, I think that you would, being clear-headed, you would want to, especially on TV, respond in a way that would be hopefully what you are there to learn. If you're trying to be more independent, you're going to respond that way. So he doesn't want to seem insecure or seem all these things. So I think but that's the thing about reality TV. People say it's edited and all this stuff. You can't edit everything. Some of it's just like, this happened. Here's my reaction to it. And that's what we saw. So I think that, I wouldn't do well seeing footage like that.
Yeah.
I think that they all actually did very well with it, but
I was a little bit afraid, to be frank, that somebody was going to like smash the computer, be like, don't talk to my husband like that. We didn't see it. Who knows what the future holds, but right now I know that we have an update for our AfterBuzz fans, and Ashley has something to read to you guys.
Yes,
so
I do.
Ash, take it away.
Here we go, guys. Buckle up. Hey, AfterBuzzers. Our network produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, from drama, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. There's no network that works harder to serve television fans, but we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because those are optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. For now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us become the ESPN of TV talk.
Well, thank you, Ashley. That was a beautiful read, and we love our fans. If you are not interested in seeing our beautiful faces, might I add, you can totally tune in on our podcast. Anywhere you can find a podcast, you can listen to our lovely
We
voices.
also have faces for radio.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on. Second segment, let's go. We're going to be talking about the road trips. And I'm going to be honest, when they all were getting into the car and going to different parts of California, I was like, how great would it be if they by accident sent two of the couples to the same location, and then
There are no accidents in reality TV.
All right, well, whatever. So we had people going to Palm Springs, and let's just start off with Reese and Rosalind, because Rosalind is trying to get Reese to open up. And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't remember anything.
But that's where I think this is what we're seeing as time goes on. Which, by the way, on a quick note, did they say it's only like the third day of this whole thing?
Right? I'm very confused.
It's only day 3. This is like, what? Wow.
Maybe it's going to like really, by the time that this ended though, maybe it was like day 5 if they did an overnight.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
But what I was saying though is that we're starting to now see people beyond just their best behavior, just what they're there to learn and grow.
Okay.
We're now seeing their true stuff. So if we're going to see Reese just like clamshell, open, closed up, not talking, that may be something that Diane has had an issue with.
Yeah, I agree.
But poor Rosalind is like, this is all I know. Nobody will talk to me.
Which
Poor girl.
made me think, why were Reese and Rosalind paired together? But I guess it's, okay, Bobby's going to open up to the person that he wants to open up to, or like to Diane, even though he can't open up to his wife. But if Reese is not opening up to his experimental spouse, is he going to open up to his real wife? That's the question, I guess. Then we have the lovely Tony and Kenya going to wine country. And I think that Tony is looking to be a support to Kenya. Because at one point in the episode, Kenya says, the dream I had with Charles is dead. In a very dark Taylor Swift-esque, old Kenya and Charles is dead.
That's rough, yeah.
And Tony's like, well, you're on life support. Okay, well, I am not a medical professional, but I would say the body is cold. I don't sense good vibes from Kenya. I think that it's telling with the vulnerability test who she ends up writing to, and we'll get to that later. But I think Tony is really just stepping up and being the supportive guy that maybe he isn't always with Angela. I don't know. I see more of Tony helping Kenya than Kenya helping Tony. What do you think?
I agree. I think that was kind of the thing. I think that also we're saying this, people, they're on their, like you said, this episode was very much about personal growth and individual journeys.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of these couples just kind of turned inward on this day, because it's going on day 3, which apparently I'm still surprised it's not so much farther along, but maybe at this point they're starting to like the honeymoon period is kind of wore off, and they're like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. They miss their real spouse. They miss their real life. And that's the thing. I think that people are just really turning inward. And so I think that's what we saw then with Kenya and her letter.
And
Her
and the letter. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in a second. But speaking of people who I think are not turning inward and almost turning outward, and we say this every week, is Bobby and Diane. When Bobby and Diane are talking to Charles J. Orlando about what the footage means to them, Diane gets emotional watching Bobby cry, and that's really a tender moment, and she cries with him. They both cry with each other later during the exercise, and I think that seeing them go to Big Bear, and at one point she says, this is the first time I've had like uncontrollable giggles in the longest time. I thought that was super endearing, and it was really, really nice to see them just having fun together and doing something where the stress of this whole experience and the stress of their relationships was completely taken away by such a like juvenile act of sledding.
Well, that's why play is so important. Just being playful and silly. It's so important for any relationship, and that's what I think a lot of these couples, you go on for a couple of years and nothing's fun anymore. You got bills, you got taxes, your dogs are dying, everything's terrible, So you don't remember just to play and be silly and just put things aside for a minute to actually enjoy each other. That's what happens. You got to go on a reality show and try and save your marriage.
Okay, so lastly, we had Charles and Angela going to Ojai, and things were tense with them. Angela gave him this finger, in the car whenever this finger, not the other finger. Every time he was in the car trying to speak and explain why he did not express he was unfaithful to his wife. And she was like, nope.
Notice that she wasn't necessarily patient with him, which is what
Good
Tony
call.
always said.
Good call.
So as I'm saying, we're seeing people's. We all have triggers. We all have things that we need to work on, and you work on them, but not enough. You're still triggered. Your foundation is still rocky. So now we're getting at day 3. Again, I can't get past that. Thought it would have been so much farther along by now.
You're like really upset and disturbed by that.
So I'm like, day 3, that's nothing. But once you're putting some weight now on these little pain points, we're seeing their old selves come through.
Okay, this is highly irrelevant to the rest of the episode, but it's something that if Angela happens to be watching, I would just like to say that last week, Kenya said something about you, that hoe over there line, which I said was honestly the line of the summer. You might be coming for her throne. You said to Charles, and I quote, "Can you just chew with your mouth closed so it's not stressful for my spirit?" And that is quite possibly the most eloquent statement made on reality television.
Yeah.
And I really resonate with that. So thank you, Angela.
I wrote that down as well, that I'm going to start using that.
Oh, yeah.
In life.
It is stressful for my spirit. That is amazing.
Yeah, I wrote that down too, because I was like, oh,
Motto.
That's amazing, yeah.
Okay.
Protect the spirit.
Let's go on to now what they were doing on these road trips was the vulnerability tests. Oh my goodness.
I knew they were going to do vulnerability exercises.
Really?
I knew it.
Did you think that they were going to do letters?
You never know. I
You
didn't
never know.
I just knew there was going to be, actually, I assumed there was going to be like hand holding and having to like talk into their eyeballs.
That looks like it might be next week.
Oh, because that's what I had to do on that.
Oh, does that play with your mind a little
A
bit?
little bit, because how often do you do that? Just stare at someone and talk to them like that? Not very often. It's weird.
That's really intense.
So I knew they were going to be exercises, but this one was interesting.
So we see
I wouldn't have picked it.
So we see Rosalind and Reese actually forego the exercise, which, do you think that that's okay? I know, again, it goes back to we can't make you do anything, but I was a little bit surprised that, after chatting with Charles J. Orlando, which, by the way, Rosalind called him out on, which I thought was really strong of her. She said, yo, I'm going to call you out on this BS you have of going to the relationship expert and not your significant other for the time being, which is the point of switch therapy. And so I just was shocked that he continued to close himself off and they didn't do the activity, which was the truth or truth activity. And they just went and played pool.
But again, I think it goes back to that people process things differently.
Yeah.
He needed time, and also they just went and they played, which was, I think that did something, helped to lower the walls, get things out there, make it be a little smoother, because it was a tense environment.
Oh
And
God,
especially
Rosalind
since those
called him
two-
Sweet Pea though, and I just I cringed. I was like, nope, not cute. It's weird in this setting. That was just an aside.
But since those two are the caregivers, the more
Mm-hmm.
nurturing ones, maybe they just needed to process things a little bit differently. And definitely Reese did. He was not doing
Not
too
in a
well.
good headspace. Well, okay, so then the truth exercise also went to Angela and Charles.
Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of had this like, we didn't see much of the exercise, but it was like, what are you most, like, what is on your mind right now? What is the biggest pressing problem? And Charles obviously was like, divorce, maybe?
And then that he regrets,
The
cheating on his
infidelity.
wife,
Yeah, honestly, that part wasn't as interesting to me as the lost loved ones letters that we saw Bobby writing to her mother.
No,
Did I just say Bobby writing to Bobby writing to his sister Ginger and Diane writing to her mother, which, oh my goodness, both of those things really crushed me, I must say.
what really spoke to me was that when Diane writing to her mother mentioned something about, now I understand what it was like. You had to work all these jobs, you had kids, and you had a husband who didn't do his fair share, which is what she often says about Reese. So it's interesting that maybe there is something going on there.
Apple
She's
doesn't far.
Yeah, sometimes they say
Doesn't fall far
you
from the
marry
tree.
someone that's like your caregiver, your primary caregiver, or it can be maybe someone that you're trying to,
Replace
build a
or
relationship
something?
with, or you just followed your mom's footsteps.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I thought that was really sad, and Diane was hysterical, crying through the letter, crying when she was reading the exercise. Bobby, the same, super upsetting. He said like he failed his sister
rough.
who is now deceased, and I felt for both of them, and they felt for each other. That was at least a nice. I mean, they were basically commiserating in their misery of, they really miss these loved ones of theirs. And I thought that was another raw emotional moment that, again, shows that Bobby and Diane are just really giving it all to this switch therapy. Then we saw Tony and Kenya doing the exercise, and took an interesting turn when Tony wrote to his dog Brutus. But you know what? I'm actually not going to hate on him.
No, I totally get it.
Why do you get it?
Well, because like what one of the experts said. Sometimes your pets' relationships are just like people.
Family, yeah.
Yeah, they are. Sometimes they're more loving. They got your back no matter what. So when you lose a pet, sometimes
He said it was his first child, and that is real and scary. Whereas Kenyon chose to write to her father, who was kind of aloof. She doesn't know where he is now.
He was a dad, but not a father.
Oh, that was profound. That was really profound. I also thought it was weird though, because Tony called out Kenya for not writing to Charles, but sorry, he didn't write to Angela. And maybe that dad that she needed to be a father and to be in her life more is somehow, like you were saying, connected to who she ended up marrying, which is Charles, and how he hasn't been there for her. And so I thought that was just a little weird for Tony to call, like the pot calling the kettle black,
The thing is, we do things in life that will allow us to continue our story, whatever it is. So we choose people who were like, see, I knew this would happen. This always happens. You go for this person. See, this is what always happens. And sometimes, so you have to kind of look inward and really fix your own foundation cracks, and then go out there and take on the world. Which I think is what this process is really allowing these people the opportunity to do.
I don't know about you, but I honestly am still not into this process. I don't think I would ever do it. But that is not going to hold us back from our special segment today, which is Would You Rather? Woo! Okay. Best part about this game, it's not going to happen in real life. But I have some pretty interesting questions, ladies and gentlemen. So, Are you ready? All right,
Ready.
Strap in. Okay. Would you rather be cheated on by your partner or be the one cheating on your partner?
Oh, God.
And obviously these questions are inspired by the show.
Oh, this sucks. This is such a really wild question because my natural instinct was I would rather be the one cheated on because I don't want to hurt anybody. But that's terrible. I'm trying to fill in my own foundation cracks and be strong on my own and be like, not let people mess with me. So I got to go and examine that.
No, I would say
Noted.
the same thing. I
Work
would
to
never,
do.
ever, ever, never want to hurt anyone. So I would rather just be cheated on.
Yeah, but just crappy all around, you know? But
It's a tough situation. It's a tough question.
Yeah.
All right.
And that was your opener?
Yeah, I know. No. It really gets easier from here, I promise. All right. Would you rather rough it in a tin can camper like Angela and Charles or be in a tiny love shack like Bobby and Diane?
Oh, I think what was the first one? What did you call it? The little tin can? The tin can.
Me too.
It was cute, right? Think of all the cute pictures you could take.
Well, I for some reason find like a small cabin or camping experience much more cozy than a small house. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So they're both small spaces, but the little camper tin can thing, that seems more fun to me.
Also, it's just different. It's something totally different. You know, I live in a house. I do not live in a camper.
A tin can.
A tin can. I do not live in a tin can.
All right. Would you rather have your relationship expert be Charles J. Orlando or Dr. Jessica?
Oh.
We're a little biased, honestly, because Charles was in the studio. Yeah. I think both of them are really excellent in what they do. So
I think I would do Charles because he would make more jokes and it would make it more lighthearted and there'd be lots of hand gestures and I feel more comfortable in environments.
I kind of wish that they had both of them constantly with all the couples, just because you get a literal medical opinion, because she has I think her MD, she's a psychologist, and then he, obviously has extensive information and knowledge on relationships. So it would have been nice.
I think it's important to do both a male and female perspective when it's a male and female relationship.
That's a great point.
Because that way, if the woman can back me up, but then also tell me you feel that way, but this is, and this kind of gives different perspectives.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Both.
Honestly, I think we did a pretty good job with that Would You Rather round. I know that we have a couple of updates, though, on the seasons prior. So season 1, Ashley has some dirt on which couples are still together and which are Dunzo.
Splitsville. Because we're always talking about, what is this process? Is it actually going to work? Does it work? So I think it's important to kind of take a step back and look at the results.
Yeah, seriously.
So, from season 1, we had Alicia and Houston, and they had some difficulties with jealousy, and not spending enough time together. And after being on 7-Year Switch, they are still together, and they actually just had their second child.
Oh, that's so sweet!
A success.
Yay!
Success.
We love successes.
Yes. But failures are okay too, as long as we all grow from them.
Okay. So I feel a failure coming.
Sometimes it happens. Ugh. Rachel and CW.
Okay.
They got divorced.
Oh, there it is.
They got divorced. He felt that she was not supportive enough of his career, and they actually stayed together at the reunion, but then after the reunion, they were like, you know what? Can't do it anymore. So,
wow.
Splitsville.
Okay.
Do you want the good news or the bad news?
Bad news always.
Okay. I like it. Bad news. So then we have Neil and Leah.
Okay.
There were some issues with whether or not they wanted to have children or not.
Oh,
and
no.
similar to the previous failure, they stayed together at the reunion, but then afterwards we're like, you know what?
No, parting ways. Okay, here's my question for any married couple out there. I'm so far removed from being married, but if you get married and you already have the notion in your mind you don't want kids and your partner does want kids, do you think you're going to change the other person's mind?
You will not.
Because I don't think that that's realistic, nor is it fair to either of you.
not.
You're essentially wasting your time, because I don't, on a topic as heavy as that, I don't know, I feel like it's...
Yeah, because then if you're bringing other people into it.
Exactly. You're bringing other real lives into it. Okay, give me the good news
I've
really
had someone
quick.
experience that. I was dating this guy a little bit briefly, and he said he didn't want to have kids, and I was like, I don't know if I even necessarily, like, I think I do, but having somebody be like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm telling you what to do. So we didn't stick around.
Okay, last one real quick.
Last one is Danielle and Eric. They are still married and reportedly closer than ever.
Yay!
Thanks to switch therapy.
7-year switch for the win. So we
Yes.
got some kids and we still have some saved marriages. And I know that next week,
Yes.
guys, Ashley, tell us who's coming.
So that's why I just stuck with season 1, because next week we have a guest from season 2.
Who is it?
Not gonna tell you. I want people to tune in. Tune in, then you'll find out.
Okay, so next week, in addition
really
to
good.
having a special guest from season 2, like, what do we think is going to happen? Because we saw a little bit of a teaser where it looks like Bobby and Reese may be confronting one another because the
Yeah,
spouses
they
meet
meet.
the experimental
What
spouse.
are they doing that for? That's what I want.
Like, honestly, what is the point of that? That just seems like a lot of animosity is going to be thrown around, and then you're
You're not actually solving the problem. You're just
Thank
now
you.
you're just emotions.
And then is Diane going to be in the corner like, hey,
Oh,
hey?
jeez.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want that.
I feel like we're gonna be all taking some steps backwards.
Yes, I agree. But you know what? I think we can leave it on this note. Charles was saying that the footage was meant to bring them back to reality and shock them back into reality, making the couples realize that this is not all like la-di-da, I'm on a 2-week vacation.
But what concerned me though, what they said about they wanted to show them the footage so that people remember what is at stake, what they can be losing.
Yeah. So what is the point of showing them the other spouse?
It's like, yeah, you're just trying to get jealousy, and I
Well,
mean, it makes for good TV, so yeah, I'll give them that.
True, but Charles said the jealousy is a natural good reaction to be feeling because, again, it reminds you what's at stake. So I think we can expect to see maybe some backtracking and maybe, I don't know, I feel like it would be really great if Tony stood up for Kenya and was like, Charles, how dare you? I would love that. Tony just seems like a stand-up guy to me. He seems really cool. Well, I think that's all we have for tonight. Like, honestly, we both loved chatting with you. I can't believe it was just the two of us. But as a reminder, I'm your host, Caroline Thayer, and you can find me at Caroline J. Thayer. Ashley, where can we find you?
You can find me at Kinda Kind with Ashley Lauren, or you can just go to kindakind.com and it's all there too.
Oh, amazing. Well, guys, thank you again so much for tuning in tonight. We will catch you next week on AfterBuzz's After Show for 7-Year Switch right here on YouTube at 8 p.m. Don't forget, we have a special guest next week, so you definitely want to tune in. See you guys soon. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.